All right, strategists on both sides of the aisle are already calling this election for Hillary Clinton. Some polls back up that theory, including this one out of Monmouth this morning, showing Hillary with a 12-point lead over Trump. And a new poll from the Wall Street Journal has Hillary leading by 11 points. But another poll from the Washington Post shows the lead is only 4 points. And check this one out. Here's a new poll out of Ohio, where Trump is up by 4. So my goodness, which is it? Is she winning by a landslide, or is he getting some kind of comeback? Here we are, 2 days to go before the final debate of all. Is it somewhere in between, potentially? Steve Moore, Chris Hahn, back with me. I mean, Steve, this stuff is all over the place. How come?
I think because there's a lot of voters who are still, Hillary can't make the sale with voters. It's that easy. People don't want to vote for Hillary. Trump has not given them a reason in the last couple of weeks to vote for him. So I think there's just a lot of fluctuation. I've always believed, Trish, now I'm biased, I'm a Trump advisor, that there's if Trump can pull this thing within 2 or 3 points on Election Day, he will win, because I do believe there's, number one, an enthusiasm gap. That is, people who want to vote for Trump, they're going to vote, come forest fires or whatever. And second of all, because I think there's a silent Trump voter out there who frankly is lying to voters.
That's what could be interesting. Chris, you're laughing and shaking your head, but you know, we saw this with Brexit, right? I mean, we saw that there were silent voters out there. People underestimated them. And you wonder if that's what's going to happen here, if people are not admitting that they're going to vote for Donald Trump. I mean, how else do you explain how these things are all over the place?
Well, Trish, if you judge by my Facebook and Twitter page, the Trump supporters are very vocal, and they're very much out there and very much showing their true colors. But if you look at the primaries...
Hang on, Chris. But the point of what we're saying is that, that's a microcosm of them. There are a lot of other people out there that maybe feel a certain amount of pressure not to say that they're voting for Trump, that may actually be voting for him.
Let's just look at the example of the Republican primaries. Late deciders did not break for Donald Trump. That will not happen in this election. And if he has another poor debate performance on Wednesday, or if another video or audio tape leaks, I think Steve would agree with me that the Republican Party in this country would rather Donald Trump spend the rest of the good weather playing golf than campaigning for president, because it's going to damage down the ticket.
No, so he loves campaigning.
I don't think Steve would agree. By the way, Steve is one of his economic advisors, so Steve's in this for real, and so I don't think he would agree with any of that. But you go ahead, Steve.
Look, I will say this for Chris's point. You know, the one area that worries me as a Trump supporter in terms of what happens on Election Day is there's no question Hillary has a much better kind of machine. The Democrats are much better at the game of politics about turning out voters. So, you know, that's going to neutralize a little bit, I think, these silent Trump voters. But this is why, you asked the question about the debate. If Trump can really hit Hillary hard on the fact, and he got a little bit of this in the last debate, you can't trust a single word she says. All she does is talk, but there's never any action from the Democrats. I mean, they've talked about balancing the budget for 25 years, securing the border, getting jobs back, helping the middle class, and they never do it.
Yeah, to that point, you think about some of these quotes that have come out via WikiLeaks. Here she is talking about Wall Street, or talking in one of her Wall Street speeches. This is at the Goldman Sachs summit back in 2013. And she says, gentlemen, there's a big disconnect and a lot of confusion right now, so I'm not interested in, turning the clock back or pointing fingers. She's talking about 08 and whether or not she's going to go after those big banks. But I am interested in trying to figure out how we can come together to chart a better way forward. That's an example. And then, there are other examples as well, Chris, where she basically says she's not for an increase in the minimum wage. And she goes on to say part of the problem with the political situation, too, is that we have such a bias against people who have led successful and or complicated lives. It just becomes very onerous and unnecessary. She's basically saying to those Goldman Sachs bankers, I understand you. I'm on your side. And yet, when she's out in the public sphere, we hear something very, very different. So that's that trust issue. How does she overcome it?
Well, it's hard when you've been in the public eye for 30 years not to have a position on every single issue that's ever come up. And what she's got to point out is that, look, my opinions have evolved just like many other elected officials have evolved in their opinions.
I mean, it's not like it was 10 years ago.
You know, if you want to look at every single word that she said, you're going to find multiple views on a variety of positions. Donald Trump has had multiple views on a variety of positions in the last 18 months. It happens. People get convinced of new things.
So is she for or against Wall Street?
But here's the point, I think, Tricia.
Is she for or against Wall Street, Chris?
I'll answer. She is for Wall Street as it can help improve the lives of everyday Americans. She was a senator from New York, and in New York we understand the value of Wall Street, but we don't want to see Wall Street run amok and be able to do whatever it wants and cause the financial meltdown that caused in 2007. Absolutely, she's for it.
I think the reason these emails are so devastating to Hillary, it's not that she's changed her mind on issues, which you're right, she has a different position every day. It's that she tells, what this is indicating, Trish, is she's telling one group of people, her donors, one thing, and then she's going out the next day and telling the voters another thing. And that's what people hate about politicians.
It's like, tell me what I want to hear. Essentially, you know, she's programming for her audience, whoever that audience may be. And one of the things we've also learned in some of those Podesta emails is that her own staff often didn't really know what she stood for or where she was on issues. And so, you know, that makes it, once again, an issue of how do you trust her? What does she really think? And this will come into question, of course, likely in the debate as well.
I doubt it. I think this election is not about her anymore.
Well, we got to make it about her. And the economy.
No,
the economy, Trish. We haven't talked about that.
I know. The economy.